there is an excellence society. That's a term that I heard recently, dealing with having to do with Jesse Lee Peterson, because it's more than a little bit homoerotic and a complete reverse of the spectrum. Then he had to disappoint some people that he cared about. I understand that he had to tell them that he was being gay with his father, the dude's father, and they looked up to him and all this kind of stuff, right? When he was had a staunch anti-gay, so I didn't, like I didn't see it coming either. It would have helped if I seen because you start to see dark rings around their eyes. That's when the gig is up. But you couldn't have noticed it before, though. I don't know if it's makeup or with the makeup you couldn't see it. But it'll have like a little eyeliner, look like he's wearing eyeliner. I'm not talking about like dark pigmentation in the skin. I'm talking about like it looks like eyeliner. You know what I mean? Tell me I'm not crazy. And he looked a little bit skinnier, like he'd been smoking crack after the gig was up. But I don't know, like why couldn't that would have helped in the beginning if I would have seen it. But that's kind of the reason why it's like inventory. If you want to not fall into the excellence society, the one person that was talking about it before said Black Excellence Society. I'm not going to say Black Excellence Society, not because I'm better than her or anything. She is darker than me. But because I want to curb my indictment on it's about inventory. If you take other people's inventory, that's the easiest way to fall into that useless Black Excellence Society, or, and if you really look at it, like people that were being outed as being Mason or Boule or something like that are not necessarily going to fall into that category like you expect them to. It's a little bit like waiting to see if we'll take our own inventory or if we just like to take someone else's inventory. Because you can turn, like you can get it how you're living, or you can get in with that Black Excellence Society or that Excellence Society. Just because it's not just going to be on Black people. There's going to be other people. You seem like you're in this Excellence Society, but you're not Black. You know that there's people like this. It's just a thing. Like it's just a trait that people have, that they could be nothing. They don't want to show up in some way, but they still want to have a role and be around and get context that you contribute to their existence. Or they have a title, and that title in relationship or proximity, it's like you give it energy to it. It doesn't have to be like that. Like, it's so simple and easy. If you could just get it how you're living, I could appreciate that. Anybody could consider themselves, it would be like they stop being a menace and a problem when they feel like they have done what they can and they're successful in their endeavors and they've done what they can. They become bitter when if you tell them that you can be more, you could do more. We just want to get it how we're living so we can enjoy the simple times like the now and stuff. So it's like when you feel like you've done what you're being required of as part of a traditional group, family unit, or whatever, shouldn't you be happy then? Like, shouldn't everything be like, if not, let me know. If there's something wrong, you can always tell me, kind of thing, right? No, this like, you gotta do this, like, you gotta do like that. Like, none of that is pressing in anything. Like, for one thing, you should be happy for me. I'm not an alcoholic. Like, like, want to remind, like, so that you can do the same thing, or because you're what they call them, functional alcoholic. They're still alcoholics. You don't just have the word alcoholic and say if it's no problem, you're not an alcoholic. So you're like, they're these functional alcoholics, and they have a problem with you being like okay with your sobriety. Okay, I in one way or another, okay, I was able to trick myself into stop drinking. Like, so what school did you go to? Like, you're smart. It's not about logic. It's not like you did the thing, because the functional alcoholic is like, they'll be all about logic and stuff. Like, you did what was smart, and you're obviously not like you followed all the rules and everything, so you're cool and everything. Like, but they want to go on further to rationalize and like take other people's inventory and accuse and cite contentious bickering and say, I'm not, you know what I mean? And say, we're not, like, no, that isn't like at all. And then dig into your shit, looking for Billy Flasco's ups, looking for when you were getting tossed and when you're behaving immaturely or selfishly, and then making yourself emotionally unavailable because you're, everything looks retarded. Like, I'm drunk. Like, it's comfortable this way. I prefer for everything to look retarded to match the way that I feel or some shit. I don't know. But there's this excellent society that has a problem with the consumerist that's driving themselves on the way to the grave, getting out of that vortex, taking their energy out of that vortex, and it's like, well, I don't know. Like, then they don't really have, if they're not going to contribute to a platform or some kind of forward, enthusiastic, like, we're going to meet challenges and we're going to overcome them, and we're not going to let them get us down because we're going up kind of feeling. Like, it doesn't matter. It like, you already know that people are, that every now and then it's going to be a pimp down. Like, every now and then a pimp gets knocked down. So not naturally, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's going to die. Everybody can't be productive all the time. So when you're thinking forward with your energy, it's your energy that you're trying to contribute. Where is it going to come from? I don't believe in getting your shit together. It's get how you're living. Because then you can see who is okay with that and who wants to help you take your energy out of a vortex and put people back on their feet. They deserve a credit. They deserve acclamation, accolade, whatever. I'm not going to say, oh, it's acumen. I'm not going to say that, oh, you're smart. And then fucking they won't show up. And I won't show up. I mean, you know what I mean? So what school did you go to? What your religion is. I want to see how you figured out how to deliver yourself, because I don't have a pain memory. I can't remember how much it sucked when I was on the wagon. Somebody has to fall off the wagon and then get back on if they live, and with their injuries, and report how much it sucked, because I can't remember. Better you than me. And that doesn't have a problem with sobriety. So that's the monsters. And then they like you functional and not recovered. They're scared because you're recovered is more like who you are right before you fell off, before you got on the wagon, before you picked up that alcohol or that pipe or whatever it is, right? Like or when you relapse, it actually happened before. You were thinking about doing it before. So you were trauma. So something stopped your growth, and whatever that is a monster. So they're afraid of them. monster, so they don't want you to be recovered because you will be like, um, they don't, they're afraid. It's not that they don't want you to be recovered. We don't know what that is. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I don't know if, even up right now, I don't have any desire to drink, right? It doesn't mean that I'm recovery. It doesn't mean that I'm in recovery right now. It means that a recovery happened for me to get to this point. For me to get to this point. Uh, and then doing more encouraging activities that promotes breaking, because the trauma happens to other people too, and younger, right? So it's like you could see it happening, you know what I mean? So like they get this tunnel vision, right? So where they have to disengage and they have to find a happy place, and they're looking far off into the distance, and and trying to filter out everything on the side. So the Djed is all about breaking people out of that, because you know it's easiest to enact the gods with spirits. If we think about it, like the noble arts is all about treating post-traumatic stress to retain your fighting force that incurs all the post-traumatic stress. You just told them to go out and kill, and maybe they could spare women and children, or maybe they were not allowed to spare women and children, you know, because Jacob wrestled with DNA and had to wait outside the walls. He had to get the unclean spirits off of him before he could return to this the citadel, or he couldn't be around the new generation until he got the unclean spirits off, and the soldiers were kept outside. They were too unclean to come in. So it's like you lose your nobility. You have to learn how to treat post-traumatic stress, or you have no business as being a noble. You're oh yeah, so I mean the Djed is like an energy symbol, but it's archetypal. You only have 2 or 3 archetypal archetype energies that you learn, and everybody learns them, even if you were only alive for like 2 seconds, because you get you understand by the time that you're birthed, from creation, becoming physical in the ethereal waters of noonie, right? Just a solar abode, or of the lesser gods and deities. Even demons are just like archetypes that didn't become a god. So the ancients worked with them. There was no such thing as black magic, and the demon was the daemon. And in programming language too, like you have male or daemon. Have you ever had that pop up? Male or daemon. It's beyond even saying you should be careful, because you have to know what people's preface and their, as far as what they can preface with their, it's like their expression, vernacular and all that. You know what I mean? It goes beyond words. Words can't get you to a place that's quite right with that which you already understand. There's unwritten, there's unspoken truths, and there's unspoken truths, unwritten, unspoken truths. You just have to know. And that's, I'm just saying that, like, I'm not saying anybody who, I'm not saying who does or doesn't, because I can't really tell you in words. It gets said all the time, that can be expressed all the time, and it's like, if you know something, you don't have to say. It's like you turn out to not have to say it. If something's true and turns out to be true, a lot of times the conveyance is already there. So you see these like criminals trying to destroy the conveyance, or you see all these criminals trying to undermine or gaslight or the conveyance, or even warn you against people who can process on a wavelength where the conveyance is still, like, you know, because you can't do anything to it. Like, without it, in order to express yourself, that's where they come in with all this monarch shit. You know, the MK Ultra, because they don't have a conveyance for the one they're trying to compensate. It's to compensate because they're trying to do away with anyone who could go against them. And in ways that it's hubris, I think, that they think that they may have been so close before, and so they have to go back and study one way that they, you know, like, remember an Alien, like, this time we're gonna go back and kill the alien. We're not gonna go do experiments on it. So she was like, okay, I'll go. They have these ways to try to tell you, like, we discovered the Higgs boson on a Devachyonic plane, this field of dancing color and light and form and shapes, and I don't know anything about this Devachyonic plane, but these lab coat motherfuckers know. And it's not interesting enough, and like, unsurprisingly, I wouldn't expect that they would want to show up on a Devachyonic plane in lab coats, but they want to study what they found on it. And that's like distressing, because they're taking all this energy. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just telling us they're doing this shit. You know? But then it's like, oh, conspiracies and everything. I don't even know. It's like they could be blowing up their own guidestones. They could be telling us that they're wasting all this energy on a antimatter, and they could be telling us that they're extending the pathology of beagles, and they're suffering to get more data that they fucking use to get to information through research, and then throw out the thing that you can't throw out, which is research. It's like discipline. Like, if you had it, you always have it. If you raise your kundalini, you can't knock it back down. You need to raise your vibration, because you can knock your vibration back down. That is possible, maybe necessary to stay alive. And because I'm going to talk about what the fuck I want to talk about, and no warning, too. A lot of times people are like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I'm a little cynical.